Welcome to Open Studio, WGBH's weekly spotlight on arts and culture from around the region and the nation. I'm Jared Bowen. Coming up on Open Studio, Boston's famed hat shell is dazzling the winter sky.
I really tried to think about the hat shell itself and think about its 80-year history and thinking about a bird's eye view on all these incredible musicians playing in the shell.
Then ArtsEmerson charting theater's recovery.
I think this is a moment of change, Jared. I think that people have seen themselves in a new light, and many don't like what they've seen.
It's all now on Open Studio. Next, ArtsEmerson is streaming its way through the first part of this year with shows like A Brimful of Asha, one of several upcoming productions. Hilarious, it features a real-life mother and son in their real-life story about attempts to arrange his marriage.
What are you doing here?
Okay, keep it low.
No.
I
don't care. What are you doing here? Why are you trapping me? You wouldn't call me and tell me?
I didn't know anything.
What, you showed up with a bag on your head here, Mummy? What the hell is going on?
Please, घर जाके बात.
No, Mummy, I'm going downstairs right now. I'm going to swear at the top of my lungs. I'm going to tell them that this is that I had nothing to do with it, Mummy. I don't want to marry these people.
No, you don't.
I recently spoke with the theater's executive director, David Howse, about A Brimful of Asha and more as he takes the reins of ArtsEmerson and sees a path to all of us seeing live theater again this year. David Howse, thank you so much for being here, for actually being here. And I just want to say for everybody who's watching, our crew here at GBH has been so careful for everything we see in our 12 feet of distance and things that we don't see to make sure that we can do this safely. But thank you for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here to talk with you in the flesh.
Well, let's talk about what you're doing right now. You have sole leadership responsibilities now at ArtsEmerson. Your longtime colleague, if people have gone to ArtsEmerson, they know David Dower. He's decamped to another job at the on the West Coast. Is this a nerve-wracking time to be in this position, or is it a fertile time?
I would say both and, right? So it is an incredibly challenging time for anyone trying to lead anything in this moment of pandemic. You know, the disruption to business as usual, the disruption to our personal and both our professional lives, all comes into our lived experience. And so in that sense, it's a challenge of how you predict when there's so much that's uncertain. But the gift of the pandemic is that we have an opportunity of pause and reflecting to think about what are the things that we hold dear that we want to bring through, and what are the things that we want to shift and change.
What do you see as the most substantial change coming out of this?
What I think is most substantial is the fact that we have learned that we can actually experience work on screen or in the digital platform that we never would have imagined.
He's mine. He was mine.
So we've been able to pivot quite well to the digital platform, really supporting and investing in artists who are trying to imagine their work for this digital platform.
I know you've described this as a year of experimentation. What does that mean? What have you been doing?
There are a couple of things I mentioned earlier. The digital pivot to the digital platform is one area. What do people have the tolerance for? What is the length of a show that people can actually sit through? And that's going to inform how we're coming back into, hopefully, the fall with this balance of both live and digital performing.
A question I'm frequently asked is when will we start to see everything that we're going through now reflected in the arts? I used to think it was a long time, it was a long lag time, a long time of thinking and gestation before people could tackle it. I'm not so sure that's the case now. Do you think we'll see this immediately?
I think we will see it immediately, but it's been happening and people will see it anew. So this work, artists have always been at the forefront of telling us who we are as a society. They've always challenged us and put stories in front of us that just reveal who we are. Now people will pay different kinds of attention to those artists who've often, particularly artists of color and often female artists, from the artists who have disabilities, have been marginalized in a way that their voices weren't privileged. And what we're seeing now is much more interest, a deeper curiosity about what stories need to evolve from those various communities. Hopefully more main stage theaters, more of our colleagues will be putting that work up front, but not only putting the work up front, but making the changes internally that reflect the urgency of now.
Well, you just used a key word there, which is you hope they'll do that, and I wonder, will this be sustained?
Well, you know, the pendulum swings in you know, the way that we live as a society, and I know that we've moved all the way in one direction. It will eventually find its sort of equilibrium, but my hope is that we will remember this moment and take it with us. I think this is a moment of change, Jared. I think that people have seen themselves in a new light, and many don't like what they've seen. And they're eager to attach, connect with experiences that help them understand how to do better and how to be better in the world.
You have a couple of great shows coming up. Tell me about Julia, which is not for all audiences. This is a very adult show.
Julia is a show for a mature audience. It is a wonderful adaptation of August Strindberg's 19th century classic, Miss Julie. The story is layered, it's complicated, the story that really navigates class and gender dominance.
And tell me about this other piece you have coming up that I've had the fortune to watch. This is complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Completely
I'm
opposite.
not sure that I've laughed so much during the pandemic as when I watched A Brimful of Asha. This is a mother and son, real life mother and son. The mother is not an actor, which I think is stellar
Yes.
here.
Then there's her uncle, who's the middleman of this whole thing. Now, the middleman has actually become a profession in India of these people who make matches, and then they'll get a percentage of the dowry. So this guy is a very serious dude. He is in it to win it. He is not messing around.
It's very funny, and it's a very human story that we've all experienced. Ravi Jain is the artistic director of Why Not Theatre out of Canada, and he is in a very candid conversation with his mother, Asha. And though they come from the same blood, their mother and son, they come from two different worlds. And we see this sort of culture clash. Ravi being of Indian descent, but born in Canada and raised in Canada, his mother, Asha, coming from India. And so they sit at the table, and it's really a mother's hopes for the best for her son, and she and her husband will go to any lengths to ensure that success. So to
get him married.
To get him married. That's
to let your
right.
parents
Arranged
decide
marriage.
who you should marry.
But we've all been across the dinner table with family members who are trying to get us to go in the right direction, their thoughts of what the right direction is. But it's a real love affair between mother and son, and it's just a delightful and, as you say, happy, uplifting, very resonant story for our time.
Well, I love it because, as we probably also know, our parents don't have a filter at the dining room table, and she doesn't seem to have one here in front of a large audience, too. It's great. Before I let you go, I just have to ask, in early January, Dr. Fauci said that he expects that audiences can return to theaters in productions, maybe with masks, but we can all gather again in the fall. Is that something we could see happen with ArtsEmerson?
When he made that comment, I was very hopeful, but I'm wary, and I'm still planning for it. We have nothing but hope to hold on to, and as long as we're following the rules, the guidelines, I think we'll make it back into the theater where we can once again experience the transformative power of coming together in a shared experience of art.
Well, thank you again so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.